meeting will please come to order. Before we get started this evening, I would like to have a moment of silence for former Governor Ruth Ann Minner, who passed away earlier today. Okay, thank you. I just want to welcome everyone to this evening's council meeting. Today is Thursday, November the 4th. I am Trippy Congo, President of Wilmington City Council. Just want to thank everyone who has joined us in council chambers as well as virtually. For those who would like to speak during public comment, just as a reminder for those who are virtual, there is a Google form sign-up link in the chat. Public comment would take place after non-legislative business. We will start off by having our opening prayer by Akira Gennardo.
Heavenly Father, we have assembled to handle the affairs of our city. As we do so, we ask for your guidance and understanding. We pray that our city reaches a place of peace and safety. Keep us out of harm's way and bless those who are in authority. Let respect be key in all our endeavors. Amen.
Amen. This time we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic
for which it
stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice and liberty for all.
At this time, clerk will please call the roll.
Councilwoman Gray.
Present.
Councilwoman Darby.
Present.
Councilwoman Oliver. Councilwoman Oliver. Councilwoman Harley.
She has an excused absence. Councilwoman Harley does. And Councilwoman Oliver is here, but she was having trouble with her mic.
So you're asking for her to be marked present, President?
Yes, please mark Councilwoman Oliver present.
Thank you. Councilwoman Fields.
Present.
Councilwoman McCoy.
Present.
Councilman Johnson. Councilman Field.
Present.
Councilwoman Cabrera.
Present.
Councilwoman Dixon.
Present.
Councilman Spadola.
Present.
Councilwoman Walsh. Councilwoman Walsh. President Congo.
Here.
Mr. President, I also see that she's on the line. Do you know if Councilwoman Walsh is having issues as well?
I don't see her. You see her online, you said?
Yes.
Okay, yes, please mark her present.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. 11, that's 11 present and 2 absent.
This time we'll have the reading of the minutes of the previous meeting.
October 21, 2021, City Council met on regular session with remote participation on the above date at 6:30 p.m. President Ernest M. Congo, II presiding. The opening prayer was done by Akira Gennardo, Deputy City Clerk. The Pledge of Allegiance was recited by City Council.
I move that the minutes be received, recorded, and filed.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second that the minutes be accepted as written. On the question, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. This time we'll have our committee reports.
September 7, 2021, President, members of Council, City of Wilmington, ladies and gentlemen, we, your Finance and Economic Development Committee, by virtual meeting with anchor location to who was referred to ordinance number 21046 entitled, an ordinance to amend Chapter 40 of the City Code to eliminate bumping rights for non-union employees in a classified service. Have given this ordinance careful study and recommend council vote on it accordingly. Respectfully submitted, those members present: Councilman Johnson, Councilwoman Harley, Councilman Field, Councilwoman Oliver, Councilwoman Walsh, Councilman Spadola, and President Congo.
Mr. President, I move that committee report be received, recorded, and filed.
Second.
It's been properly moved that that committee report be received, recorded, and filed. On the question, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Are there any other committee reports?
That's it, President.
Okay, thank you. This time we'll have our city treasurer's report.
November 4th, 2021, total investment, $512,985,409.11. Total cash on hand, $13,016,024.50. Grand total, $526,001,433.61. Submitted by Dwayne Sims, City Treasurer.
I move that the treasurer's report be received, recorded, and filed.
Second.
Second.
It's been properly moved that the treasurer's report be received, recorded, and filed. On the question, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carried. At this time, I'll accept the motion to accept all non-legislative business.
Second.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to accept all non-legislative business. On the question, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carried. I don't believe there are any presentations this evening, but I would like to recognize resolutions from all of council recognizing Oprah Lee, the grandmother of Juneteenth. Also from all council, a sympathy recognition for Alfonso L. Nixon Sr. Also recognizing the Wilmington Fire Department's 100th anniversary. That is from all of council. Councilwoman Brigida Fields has a recognition for Percy Ricks. And Councilwoman Oliver has sympathy recognitions for Margaret Marcella Lindsay, Cynthia Winward, Charles Miller, Carla Akins, and Patricia Louise Evans. At this time, we will go into our public comment section. Again, as a friendly reminder for public comment, there is a Google Form sign-up link in the chat for anyone who would like to speak virtually. Your time limit is 3 minutes. Please direct all comments to me directly and not to any specific council members. Just as a courtesy, we will remind you when you have about 45 seconds left. And I do believe I know we have some. All right, we do have 4 people who have signed up to speak. I want to thank you for joining us. Really good to have you back with us. This is okay. All right, so we will go with our virtual audience first. Mr. Hanif Salam.
Good evening, Mr. President. Today, I just wanted to say that Delaware's Law Enforcement Officer Bill of Rights, known as LEOBOR, has fueled police abuse incidents by making it virtually impossible to discipline police officers for misconduct. Delaware is the only state that specifically codifies the confidentiality of law enforcement personnel records from public scrutiny, and no other Delaware public employee enjoys equivalent protections when it comes to disciplinary matters. Community oversight boards are independent body of people who are not police, who review incidents of police misconduct. Effective COBs are community-led groups that review, investigate, and discipline officers in misconduct cases. No one should be expected to blindly trust police departments to police themselves. This is especially true given law enforcement's long history of racism, corruption, and police brutality against Black and brown people. Police saying trust us is not good enough. If a case was properly investigated, why wouldn't a police department want the public to know and see that the case was handled properly and investigated thoroughly? Wilmingtonians who police have shot include Lamont Moses, who was taking a nap in his car, Jeremy McDowell, who was using a wheelchair at the time, Yaheem Harris, who was 18 years old when police put him in the hospital with several gunshot wounds, and Brandon Roberts, who called 911 for assistance with a mental health crisis. People in all communities should be able to live their lives without having to fear violence at the hands of the police. 71% of Delawareans support creating community oversight boards that would investigate and advise on disciplined officers who engage in misconduct. But some legislators appear to be prioritizing the comfort of law enforcement over the needs of the community. Graciously, Wilmington City Council has approved and the mayor has signed for us to have an effective community review board. To my surprise, Chris Johnson, who actually supported me in my efforts to get SB 149 passed in Dover as is now trying to amend the city ordinance to add 2 police officers to the community review boards. At that point, it would turn this more into an advisory board and will not uphold the duties of a community oversight board who in their most effective state are independent of any current, former, or retired police officers. I ask City Council to please vote no to any amendments to the ordinance that implements Wilmington Community Review Boards so that we can create more transparency and accountability within our Wilmington Police Department. Thank you.
Thank you. Keandra McDowell.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Council President, for allowing me the chance to speak tonight. So my main concern is what we see around the world currently is violence by police. And we are putting together a community review board so that the community will be able to review the actions of police officers. It's exactly what it said, a community review board. We have a problem now all around the world, not just here in Wilmington, where we have the police investigating the police. That's a huge issue. That's why we're here now. So to ask for the ordinance to be amended would be a slap in the community's face, because we have this issue now with the police investigating the police and nothing is being done. No officers are being held accountable for the actions that they are abusing when they are abusing people in our communities. I am firsthand impacted by the abuse and threats and murders in the city of Wilmington by the hands of police officers. And to ask for there to be an amendment for this ordinance is ridiculous. I think that it needs to pass as is. To have 2 retired police officers on a community review board will already start the process as being non-biased. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Christina Kelly.
I mean biased. That's what I meant to say. Jesus.
I am going to essentially echo the statements of Honey.
Hi, Ms. Kelly, we can't hear you. Can you? I'm not sure if it's your microphone or connection.
How about now?
Yes, that's much better. Thank you.
Sorry about that. So again, I'm just going to kind of echo the sentiments of Hanif and Keandra. Putting a law enforcement officer in any capacity, retired, former, current, FOP support, whatever, completely waters down the effectiveness and honestly the purpose of a community review board. I'm also quite disappointed to see that this is coming from Councilmember Johnson after he has stated himself in a few meetings over the last couple of months that investigating police has not been effective. So to turn around and see that he is sponsoring this resolution for an amendment to the Citizen Review Board, it's quite disappointing, and leads me in the same direction there as Honey. This feels like it's more of a pandering to the FOP. On top of that resolution, I'd also like to speak to the few that are coming up from Loretta Walsh again, that we are putting back onto the agenda, those grant applications that over the last 3 meetings, multiple council members and community members have requested additional statistics to prove that that would be, of any benefit. And yet here the resolutions are back on the agenda again with no additional statistics provided. So I'm asking for council members and yourself, Council President, to vote no, not just to Chris Johnson's resolution, but also to those grant application requests popping back up again. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Cheyenne Miller.
Hi, my name is Cheyenne Miller. I'm in the 7th District in the city of Wilmington. And I'd also like to give public comment on the ordinance that would add 2 retired police officers to the Civilian Review Board. I'm super concerned because the entire purpose of a Civilian Review Board is for it to be filled with civilians that are not connected to the police force. The police already have a lot of power when it comes to investigating themselves. When they are under any type of scrutiny, the only people that can scrutinize them is the police. And so to have a Civilian Review Board that has police on it, retired police officers or active police officers, completely defeats the purpose. It would be ideal if the CRB would not have those individuals on it, and that it would not be just an advisory board, but also would have the power to be able to really do real investigations and do real discipline. I'd also like to speak today because the city is considering a ordinance that would allow for water shutoffs to be placed on a moratorium for the next 6 months. That ordinance is very important because in my work, I'm often seeing individuals across the city who are losing access to water because they're unable to pay their water bill. Although the city has put forth about $300,000 into a fund that would help homeowners, there are renters who are unable to access that fund and are also getting their water shut off. People, when they get their water shut off, this is an issue of access to housing because they can be put out of their home. You can be put out of your home whether you're a renter, or you can be put out of your home if you're a homeowner. And so water shutoffs are an access issue of housing. It would be very important for the city to acknowledge that the pandemic is not over yet. To shut people's water off during a pandemic when we're asking people to wash their hands and to stay clean and safe makes absolutely no sense. And so while I understand that the city will claim that losing revenue by not shutting off waters will be an issue, I would like to point out that the city received $25 million from the American Rescue Plan, as well as they still have funds left over from the CARES Act, and the city can work with the Newcastle County to receive some of the funds that they also received. And so the city has absolutely no reason to be shutting off people's water during a pandemic. And I would be very, 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 very happy to see the city pass the ordinance that would make it so that everyone can have access to water during this pandemic and that there is a moratorium on water shutoffs. Thank you, and that's my public comment.
Okay, thank you. Excuse me. At this time, we're going to move to public comment for those who are in council chambers. Deacon Earl E. Tate. And please watch your step as you come to the podium.
Greetings, folks, council members, public. I like to say that I'm here representing the people of Wilmington. The people up here in Wilmington want to say stop throwing your trash out on people's land. There's a house on 25th and Lamont Street where there has been trash thrown out there, box springs, tars, and everything, and they're still there. They're still there. They got to stop throwing them there and take them down to the garbage, to the junkyard, and throw them away. Next of all, I like to say, when will it take? What will it take for you, for the city to put up speed bumps on these streets? Because these streets, with all of these people driving around like a bat, racing to its own graveyard. Hey, if the county could have speed bumps put in it, why can't we? Why can't we have some speed bumps? Even temporary speed bumps will do. But we got to have them put up. Do it take us losing? Do it take y'all losing your family members to put up stops, put up speed bumps? What do it take? And when I went out on the corner, took a 5-mile radius of how many children recreation centers there are without them have to pay by memberships and so forth. I counted about five of them, and then I took a look around and counted how many liquor stores there are around in that 5-mile radius. There was about over 20. We don't need that many liquor stores. We need places for our kids to go to have some recreational fun and all. Because if we don't take care of our kids, who will? That's how come I say it's time for us to take action, stop and take action now. But don't forget to set your clocks back an hour Saturday before you go to bed.
Thank you very much. Please watch your step. Jeff Workman, please give us just a few minutes to sanitize. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Workman, you may come forward.
Yeah, I have a question. Can I get somebody to take a picture of me? I need this for an assignment.
Somebody from the public might be able to. Yeah,
I don't, here. I have to do it for my staff, show proof. You're gonna do it on your set? Okay, thank you.
all right, please come up and please watch your step as you approach the podium.
How you doing? My name is Jeff Workman, and I attend Del Tech. I have a political science project that I have to do, and that's why I'm here at the meeting. Thank you for allowing me to come, and I just wanted to say the meeting's been very good, and thank you. That was it.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. Our next speaker will be Brandon Fletcher, but again, just please give us a few moments to sanitize, Mr. Fletcher. Thank you. Just as a reminder, please introduce yourself and please watch your step.
Mask on or mask off?
You can remove it if you like.
Say that again?
You can remove it while you're speaking.
Thank you, Council President, and Council for allowing community to speak today. I want to talk about community safety. In Camden, New Jersey, they piloted a specific program where they had community safety police officers. Essentially, they did a focus on a small block area within a community, and they saw gun violence go down. If community is actually talking to police precincts, police commanders, folks on the force who are interested in, who are from the community and are actually interested in addressing the issues of the community, those are the ways that we can look to reduce crime in the city. And, you know, we have too many police officers going to people, ramming their faces into walls, pulling teenagers' hairs. This is a serious issue. And I'm calling on council to do something about it. Community safety is community-led, but community safety also includes and is created by access to quality education, access to quality healthcare and culturally competent healthcare, healthcare that is actually saving our lives and not killing us. It's access to economic opportunities, good jobs with good wages, union jobs. It's about safe and secure and affordable housing. Those are the things that we can look to keep our communities safe. Community safety is community-led, but community safety is also about establishing what safety looks like for us and by us. Police don't keep our communities safe. If you think about when they respond to the issues in our community, it's after the incident is already done. We are who keep our communities safe. We have always kept our communities safe, but when we don't have access to jobs and to education and to water and to housing, then our communities become unsafe. So I saw in an article from a council staffer that said that $345,000 was given to micro grants to nonprofits that are working on violence interruption. That's great. But when I looked at today's agenda, 1.4 million is going into a police department. So what I suggest is that the city continue to, well, don't vote for that resolution, none of it, and then continue to reallocate resources away from the Wilmington Police Department into our communities to ensure that we have access to all of the social services, all of the programming, all of the resources that will actually keep our community safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Michelina De Jesus. Please watch your step.
Hello, I am Michelina. I live in, what's my district? 5? Okay, I just had a blank, but anywho, I'm on the west side, in between Johnson and Fields. Anywho, so before I go from the comment that I came for, I was unaware of the review boards for Learboard. So I'm going to have to agree with the community and their thoughts on that, but also want to make a suggestion. When you, it's similar to trial, there are juror questionnaires sent out to make sure that their trial will not be biased and the people that are, going to be part of that are, able. I'm going to have to suggest something similar, or at least to take into consideration that not to put a police officer on a board that is to investigate officers, but also make sure that those who are going to be on the board qualify and are able and don't hold biased opinions. And it's similar to trial as far as questionnaires can be sent out. So before making a decision on that, I would ask that you guys take a look into that process and what that might look like. I did come to also speak on the water issues and then disaster on Riverside. I will put my personal business out there to say that I applied for the Delaware COVID, that everyone's sharing the resources to apply if you need. Well, I've been on the waiting list since July, and that includes utilities as well. I also have an eviction notice. I just got back to work last month, besides the fact it's been about 4 months. So I want you guys to keep that in mind from my personal experience, that when you're handing out these resources, these are not emergency resources. I also have a hose running from my house to my neighbor because her water is shut off, so we're sharing water. Okay, so I just want to make that, so for those who don't think it's not real, it's very real. Furthermore, I have friends that are on Riverside who are still suffering from the disaster. I think about healthy homes, right, and the mold that grows her basement was filled with water, and she's still not done cleaning it. This is one of just the first I'm thinking off the top of my head, and she's still not done cleaning it. But after that, the work that it comes in to make sure that that home doesn't become dangerous to those who live there. What type of work is being done to ensure that for those houses to be assessed, for those who don't have homeowners insurance or renters insurance, what's being done to be assessed? And I know that some of the places like Kingswood and other places are doing a great job. The community's doing a great job to make sure that the community has what they need. But where it goes beyond that is now where my concern is. So thank you. Third my time. Red flag. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is D. Marquis Hall.
First of all, I want to say it's freezing in here.
Yes, it is.
This city has too much money to not be paying for heat. This city has too much money to allow people's water to be shut off because they can't pay one water bill. This city has too much money to be ticketing people, again, for 2-hour parking because they was out front of their house parked for longer than 2 hours. This city has too much money to allow people to go uncared for, unassisted when they've experienced disaster. November 2nd, hundreds of people in Riverside, small area, northeast Wilmington, not even in the projects, not even in Riverside, but on North Hill Street and on Vandiver, on Thatcher, on Governor Prince. Folks over there experienced great loss, injury, bodily harm, and weren't given any sort of recovery assistance. And still, Delaware hasn't been declared a disaster area, and there's some untruths out there about Delaware being declared a disaster area. I guess Joe Biden got on TV and spoke and said something about Delaware is a disaster area. But if you go to disasterassistance.gov, you see states listed that can apply for $34,000 of relief that they don't have to worry about paying back. Those states include New York and Connecticut, our bordering states, Pennsylvania, New Jersey. Delaware is not included, and people were hurt. People lost a lot, and $34,000 isn't enough money for a lot of folks that have been paying out of pocket to make sure that they have what it is that they should have, what it is that they paid for. These are hardworking people, homeowners that could use some help from this very, very wealthy city that can't afford to pay for heat, I guess. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, seriously, why isn't the heat on right now? Why are we're wearing coats in here? Why are we evicting people that don't need to be evicted? Why are we? It doesn't make sense. We're going to hear a personal story from Miss Shakia Blake next. Ms. Blake.
Yes, Shakia Blake, may come forward, please. Please watch your step. She is next on the list. Shakia Blake.
Hi, my name is Tashika Blake. I've been living in Wilmington for about 6 years now. I bought a house over on the Hill Street, was my first house. Was very excited about it. I went to school to be a nurse. I'm a nurse now, and I worked hard for my position. I worked hard for my home, and I don't understand why the only thing that's being offered to us is loans. Like, I'm paying out of my own money to pay for the things that I already bought. That doesn't make sense to me. And I want to know why we can't get the help that we need. I was already in debt. I was in debt before I went to school. I tried to better myself and make a better life for myself. And I did that. I was already suffering financially. My whole house was flooded. I was rescued from my second floor window. There's no help nowhere. Like, I'm trying to do what I need to do on my end, but I have nobody backing me up. And I just feel like because of this city, I'm failing, I'm falling, and there's no help nowhere. I lost over $15,000 of belongings in my basement. I was rescued from my house. I got 2 ear infections. When the rescuers came to get me, I have hospital bills and no help from nowhere. I'm offered a loan that I have to pay back. And it's not fair to me, because why do I have to pay back what I already paid for, what I already worked hard for? And I don't understand that. And I really think that whomever need to stand up and represent this city, because it's not fair, because we're in a little black community, that we don't deserve what everybody else is getting. Mullica Hill, they're taken care of. I worked hard for everything that I got. I lost my dad this year. I lost my sister. And I'm losing people in my family. And then my house get flooded and there's no help nowhere. No help nowhere, alone to put me in more debt. It's not fair to the community. It's not fair.
Thank you, Ms. Blake. Did you want to say something, sir? Are you okay? Okay, just please introduce yourself.
Yes. My name is Jason Knight, and I'm actually from New Jersey. I'm new to the community of Wilmington, Delaware, and I've been here for about maybe 7 years, and I experienced this little flood thing that we had here recently, and when I look around, I've seen these people out here in the streets. I mean, it definitely looked like a disaster area. And I thought I was in some third world country. And as I look around this room, I see people that look like me in prominent positions in city council. Mr. President, yourself included. I actually find it disgusting. I find it disgusting that all these people, I mean, these people banded together and cleaned up their own community. Everyone's looking for resources. And they looking to you. And it's like no one's doing anything. You're just turning your cheek. And as I'm sitting here listening, and to hear that you want to put police officer on a review board, that's disgusting. Why would you even consider that? When you know, I mean, there's story after story after story after story after story of illegitimate police behavior. It's not training that these police need. They need to be fired and held accountable for their actions. And again, I find it disgusting that you would even consider that. That should have been a no from the door. My friend here is breaking down. I mean, she's not alone. There's hundreds of her out here that lost all kinds of things. And it seems like you people just pushing pens. You know, I don't get it. I don't understand what's going on here. Because, you know, we have these meetings. I mean, what do you just have these meetings for people just to talk? And you hear and just say, okay, all right, I heard you. Bye, and nothing happens? I mean, what's going on here? I mean, when you're the president, I mean, you have some kind of power to do something, to make a difference in people's lives. How you go home? How do you sleep when you hear these stories? I don't understand that. And again, I repeat, I look around this room and I see people in these positions that look just like me, of color, black. black people are suffering out here in Wilmington. And the police, there's complaint after complaint after complaint. And there is no resolution, there is nothing to hold these police accountable for their actions. There is nothing. And then you want to consider putting them on a review board? How did that even come up? That should have been a no from the beginning, no. If you want to help your people, the people who put you in this position. So all I ask is, me being a new resident of Wilmington, I mean, if we are to believe that all you have to do is go vote, all you got to do is show up for these meetings, and you can make a difference. That's not happening. That's not the reality of what's going on here. The reality is people just walk in here and this chamber and they just say what they got to say and they go home. Someone needs to do something. Someone needs to do something. I mean, again, when you go home, just consider your constituents. That's all I ask. They're not living like you're living. You understand? Flood. Loss. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Our final speaker this evening is Jennifer, and I don't want to mispronounce your name. So when you come forward after we sanitize the podium, please introduce yourself. And please watch your step as you're approaching the podium.
First of all, thank you to the sanitizer person. That's kind of you. It's a pleasure to be here again. I'm Jennifer Sirois. I am also from New Jersey. And I was here 2 weeks ago, Mr. President, and was told within 3 days I'd have answers to the questions I put before you 2 weeks ago. I have not received anything back. So I'm not going to leave the podium until I get answers to my questions, because once I leave, I have no leverage.
Okay, we cannot have a kind of a conversation. Public comment isn't for conversation.
Well,
so I do apologize.
When can the public converse with the elected officials about issues?
If you're able to stay, we can talk immediately after the meeting.
Okay. Then I will restate my questions for the record. And after listening tonight, and I've been wanting to relocate to Wilmington for a couple years now, I'm having reservations, but that still doesn't negate the fact that I entered into a process with good faith and assuming the public trust that you all are charged with upholding, and it was killed. Your housing department solicited for requests for proposals to acquire vacant properties. It specifically indicated that it wanted folks to possess these homes for single-family owner-occupied. It provide financial incentives for folks that may not be able to afford it. Coming from a place that has destroyed the black community with gentrification, I saw this as the possibility that a city exists that will put its own poor people ahead of gentrification, and I wanted to be part of that. And then that process was killed. So my questions are, again, for you, Mr. President, for Ms. Fields, whom I've spoken with and haven't heard from in 2 months. These are my questions. When did Housing submit its recommended bids from this process to you, the City Council, for approval in accordance with the ordinance that governs the process? Conversely, in accordance with that ordinance, when did the mayor and the council accede to Housing's request to to abandon the RFP process for the disposal of those West Center City properties? What elements of my bid disqualified me? What is the exact chain of custody of my application with highly sensitive data in it? I want to know the emails, the names, the places of employment throughout city and HUD, which is where I found that my application wound up in, even though that wasn't part of the process. Why did you, City Council, create a process to allow home ownership for poor people and then kill it? Why did you do that? When will I get answers to my questions? Or else I'm not leaving this podium. And this is a 200-mile round trip for me. I live in Asbury Park. Second time in 2 weeks. Resounding silence. Public trust is not being upheld here. So, when am I going to get my answers? I'm seriously asking when.
Yes, and unfortunately, we can't have a conversation, but if you're able to stay, we will talk to you immediately following this meeting. Your concerns are mainly with the administration. Council does not have direct input into your concerns, and we were told by the administration that he did follow up with you. But again, if you're able to stay, we we can have the conversation after you leave.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That was our final speaker. And again, I really want to thank everyone who came to council chambers, everyone who was virtual and gave us public feedback. In my opinion, it's the best part of the council meeting, when community shows up and gives us your feedback and your feelings about how we're doing and how the administration is doing. So I continue to welcome you to come and do just that, either virtually or right here in council chambers. It can't always be roses, and this is why we signed up. So again, I thank everyone who came and gave us your feedback, and it is our responsibility to respond, and if we can't help you directly, we have to advocate on your behalf. So thank you for your feedback, virtually and in-house. At this time, and please know that we do advocate strongly on your behalf. Unfortunately, we just can't push a button and make it happen. The administration has to kind of be involved in that whole process, not shifting the blame, but please know that we do advocate for you. This time we're going to move into legislative business. Councilmember Gray.
Nothing this evening, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilmember Darby.
Nothing this evening, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilmember Oliver.
Yes, Mr. President. 1 second. Sorry. I have an ordinance to present and call for the first and second reading.
Ordinance 21052, Agenda 0106, an ordinance to amend Chapter 42 of the City Code to adopt a new underground facilities coordination manual.
First reading of the ordinance.
An ordinance to amend Chapter 42 of the City Code to adopt a new underground facilities coordination manual.
Second reading of the ordinance.
Yes, Mr. President, I move this be known for the first and second reading of the ordinance and refer it to the Public Works and Transportation Committee.
Second.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second that be known as the first and second reading of the ordinance and referred to the Public Works and Transportation Committee.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have another ordinance to present. I have an
Ordinance
ordinance. I'm sorry.
In Ordinance 21053, Agenda 0107, an ordinance to enact certain traffic and parking regulation.
First reading of the ordinance.
An ordinance to enact certain traffic and parking regulations.
Second reading of the ordinance.
Mr. President, I move this be known for the first and the second reading of the ordinance and refer it to Public Works and Transportation Committee.
Second.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second that be known as the first and second reading of the ordinance and referred to the Public Works and Transportation Committee.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a resolution to present.
Resolution 21048, Agenda 0108, whereas on June 3rd, 2021, ordinance number 21031 was introduced before Wilmington City Council proposing an amendment to the building zone map of Wilmington, Delaware to change the zoning classification of 3001 Bower Street, Wilmington, Delaware, from a zoning classification of M1 to a zoning classification of R3. And whereas at its May 18th,
I move this resolution be received and recorded and filed and adopted as a yea and nay vote.
Second.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second that the resolution be received, recorded, filed, and adopted by yea and nay vote. On the question?
Yes, this resolution is scheduled for a public hearing on December the 9th, 2021 at 6:30 in the City County Chambers regarding ordinance number 21-031, proposed rezoning of 301 Bower Street, Wilmington, Delaware, being tax partial number 26-030-00-00-030 from zoning classification of M-1 light manufactured to zoning certification of a R3 one-family row home houses in accordance with the enacting Delaware General Assembly Bill 94. Members of the public will be allowed to participate in the public hearing either in person or on Zoom in the City Council or virtual in City Council chambers. This instructions to access to public hearing virtually will be included on the agenda for December the 9th, 2021 council meeting.
Second. Oh, sorry.
I'm seeing no hands raised. Clerk, please call for the roll.
Councilwoman Gray,
Yes.
Councilwoman Darby,
Yes.
Councilwoman Oliver,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fields,
Yes.
Councilwoman McCoy,
Yes.
Councilman Field, Councilman Field,
Yes, present. Yes.
Councilwoman Cabrera,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dixon,
Yes.
Councilman Spadola,
Yes.
Councilwoman Walsh, Councilwoman Walsh,
Yes.
President Congo.
Yes.
11 yeas and 2 absent.
Declared adopted.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a resolution to present and call.
Resolution 21049, Agenda 0109, whereas the city's comprehensive development plan entitled Wilmington 2028, a comprehensive plan for our city and communities, was adopted by City Council on December 12, 2019. And whereas at its meeting on May 18, 2021, the City Planning Commission, by its Resolution 221, recommended an amendment to the comprehensive plan related to the proposed change to the zoning classification of 3001 Bower Street, Wilmington, Delaware, from a zoning classification of M1 to a zoning classification of R3. And whereas the provisions of City Charter Section 5-600A require that a duly advertised public hearing be held by City Council prior to the adoption of modifications to the comprehensive plan.
I move this resolution be received, recorded, and filed and adopted as a yea and nay vote.
Second.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second that this resolution be received, recorded, and filed, adopted by a yea and nay vote. On the question?
Thank you, Mr. President. This resolution schedules a public hearing on December the 9th, 2001 at 6:30 p.m. in the City Council chambers regarding the proposed amendment of the City Comprehensive Development Plan entitled Wilmington 2028, a comprehensive plan for our city and communities related to the proposed changes to the zoning classified of 3001 Bower Street, Wilmington, Delaware, being tax partial 26-030-00-030 from zoning classification M1 lighting manufacturer to zoning classification R3, one-family row homes in accordance with the enacting Delaware General Assembly Bill 94. Members of the public will be allowed to participate in a public hearing either in person or in the chambers or virtual. The instructions to assess the public hearing virtual will be included on the agenda for December the 9th, 2021 council meeting, I'm sorry.
All right, seeing no hands raised, clerk, please call for the roll.
Councilwoman Gray,
Yes.
Councilwoman Darby,
Yes.
Councilwoman Oliver,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fields,
Yes.
Councilwoman McCoy,
Yes.
Councilman Field,
Yes.
Councilwoman Cabrera,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dixon,
Yes.
Councilman Spadola,
Yes.
Councilwoman Walsh,
Yes.
President Congo.
Yes,
11 yeas and 2 absent.
declared adopted.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have
She's presenting for Johnson.
yes, excuse me. Thank you, Mr. President. I'm introducing an ordinance on behalf of Member Johnson because he's out for knee surgery, but this is just a first and second.
Okay, give me 1 second. Councilmember Fields?
Nothing tonight, Mr. President.
Okay, Councilwoman Oliver, on behalf of Councilmember Johnson?
Yes, Mr. President. I'm introducing an ordinance, Mr. President. I have an ordinance present and call for the first and second reading.
After all, shit that they out there?
Excuse me.
Please remember to mute your microphones, council members.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ordinance number 21054, agenda 0110, an ordinance to amend chapter 2, article 3, division 18, the Citizen Complaint Review Board of the City Code to increase the number of board members from 9 to 11 by adding 2 members who must be retired or former police officers.
First reading of the ordinance.
An ordinance to amend Chapter 2, Article 3, Division 18, the Citizens Complaint Review Board of the City Code to increase the number of board members from 9 to 11 by adding 2 members who must be retired or former police officers.
Second reading of the ordinance.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move this be known for the first and second reading of the ordinance and refer it to the Public Safety Committee.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that be known as the first and second reading of the ordinance and refer it to the Public Safety Committee. And I do apologize that I missed Council Member McCoy.
Yes, nothing tonight, Mr. President.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Field.
Nothing tonight, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilmember Cabrera.
Nothing to present this evening. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilmember Dixon.
Nothing tonight, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilmember Spadola.
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Walsh.
Yes, Mr. President, thank you. I have 3 resolutions and 1 ordinance for third and final. Mr. President, on the resolutions, I'm going to hold all 3 of them. That's Resolution 21046, 21047, and 0105.
They relate to the
board.
Councilmembers, please mute your microphones.
I'm going to hold them to be presented at the next council meeting.
Okay, thank you, Councilwoman Walsh.
I need a second for that, Mr. President.
Second.
Second.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank
And I have an ordinance to present for third and final.
Sorry, Mr. President. There was a second on that. Are you moving
Yes, I
it?
believe we need to vote on Council Members Walsh's, her desire to hold the, her legislation? All in favor, everyone, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carried.
Thank you.
Okay, this is for the ordinance for Councilwoman Walsh. Ordinance 21046, Agenda 0092. An ordinance to amend Chapter 40 of the City Code to eliminate bumping rights for non-union employees in the classified service. Third reading of the ordinance.
I move that be known as the third reading of the ordinance, that it be received, recorded, and filed, and adopted by a nay vote.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that be known as the enacting clause of the ordinance and called for a yea or nay vote on the question.
Yes, Mr. President. I don't know why there were questions about this bill about 2 meetings ago, because and I think it was Councilmember Johnson who raised it and said that there were some union problems with it. Well, having spoken to many of the union people, they don't have any problems with it. Their problem was actually, they were shocked that this was even part of our code. And in reviewing some of the things that have happened over the years, it appears like a couple of really bad decisions have been made by the HR department over the years. I don't mean over like the last 5 years or 10 years, but just in the course of quite a few years. And this was one of them. And what this basically would do, as an example, and this is actually something that really happened, is a police officer retired. So they're one bargaining unit. That officer retires, gets paid out, the whole 9 yards, comes back, applies for another city job, and when he got the job, he was put back as far as the seniority for what he left as a police officer. So here he came into a whole new department. He had over 20 years experience as a police officer. They put him in a bumping right job for 20 some years. He gets all sorts of vacation, all sorts of stuff. But the problem would be if there's ever a layoff or anything like that, these non-union employees working in union type jobs all of a sudden have the right to bump union people. And that's simply wrong. So non-union employees should be in their own classification. And this takes away the non-union employees' bumping rights within a union. That's it. It's simple. I did say to the lawyer, part of the reason why people hate politicians and lawyers is it's a very simple bill that should take like 2 paragraphs, but because it's God knows how many pages, that's what people think our government is these days, and quite frankly, that's what I think our government is these days. But that's all I have to say, unless anybody has any questions.
Yes, we have a few council members who would like to speak to it. Councilwoman Oliver.
Thank you, Mr. President. No, I just like to echo what Councilwoman Walsh said. I too know a city employee who had been on the job for a while, who actually gave me a call and said that it's about time that this has come to council because someone came and bumped her from a whole nother department, and she had been there for over, I think, 15 years, and kind of sort of the same thing. Someone retired after 30 years and came back and bumped her. I won't say the department, and she was able, luckily, it was a vacant position available, and she was able to go in into accounts receivable, but otherwise, I mean, who knows where she would have ended up. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilmember Gray.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was one of the people that had questions, but now I'm totally confused. This program has been in effect for years, and we've just gotten a couple instances of where it didn't work. But has it been working for years? That's my understanding from knowing other city employees. So has something changed that now all of a sudden it's a bad program?
Well, it's always been a bad program. And I don't know how it's kind of worked, because employees themselves should have demanded of the leaders of their different bargaining units that this be put into their union, into the language for their contracts. And it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, you're sitting in a job for 15 years. Somebody new comes along, and all of a sudden they have a higher job than you have, and so they have more benefits and they have more rights as far as if the city had to do a layoff. I'm sorry, I'm using too many words for this, and I know I am.
Can I just ask, who determines who they bump? If I come in with 20 years, 30 years, and I want to bump, who determines who leaves the position for me to bump?
Well, this is only in a layoff position too, remember. They can't just come in and say, I want Linda Gray's job because I like Linda Gray's job, so I'll go for it and bump her down to something else. It doesn't work that way. This only works if there is a layoff within a government.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to remind council members to please use the raise hand icon so I can call on you before you respond and before you have additional comments. Any other comments from any council members in chambers or virtually?
Yes, I can't see their hands, Mr. President, so if you could say who's...
Yes, no one else has their hand. Councilwoman Darby.
Yeah, I just want to say I'm in support of this legislation.
Councilwoman Darby, I don't think your mic is on.
Hello? Okay.
Okay.
I just want to say that I am in support of this legislation too in regards to bumping rights. I also reached out to some unions to ask if they supported this or not. That was one of my first steps. The second step was also talking to city employees and also doing some research about it. I was not familiar with bumping rights, but they are privileges provided to more senior level employees, and I just don't think it's a fair process based on the understanding and research that I have done. So I'm in support of the legislation, and I just wanted to add to the conversation.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Carrera.
Thank you. And just, very briefly, it replaces experienced and skilled workers with individuals who just have more seniority. And that is not fair. And I agree with the comments that were made that this should have been done away with a long time ago.
Councilwoman Carrera, your audio is fading out.
All right. Can you hear me? Yeah. I just want to say I do support it. And it should have been
It's
done
still
away
very low.
Sorry.
Yeah, we can't hear you. I'm sorry. Okay. Councilwoman Oliver, it's your second round.
Thank you. I like to be added as a co-sponsor to this ordinance.
Thank you. I would also like to be added as a co-sponsor.
You can add me too.
All right, please add Councilwoman Darby as a co-sponsor and Councilwoman Cabrera. Is your hand raised? Councilwoman Fields.
I would like to be added as a co-sponsor as well, please.
Just for the record, Mr. President, may I?
Yes.
Okay, to be added, just to make sure I got it accurate, Councilwoman Oliver, Darby, Cabrera, Brigida Fields, and yourself, Mr. President?
Yes.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Walsh, any final comments?
No, that's all I have this evening. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Clerk, please call for the roll.
Councilwoman Gray,
Yes.
Councilwoman Darby,
Yes.
Councilwoman Oliver,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fields,
Yes.
Councilwoman McCoy,
Yes.
Councilman Field,
Yes.
Councilwoman Cabrera, Councilwoman, yes, she's saying yes. Councilwoman Dixon,
Yes.
Councilman Spadola,
Yes.
Councilwoman Walsh,
Yes.
President Congo.
Yes.
11 yeas and 2 absent.
Declared adopted.
That's all the legislation I have. Thank you.
Thank you. This time we'll move to petitions and communications. Just want to remind council members that we cannot speak to anything that was on this evening's agenda for our petitions and communications. Start with Councilwoman Gray.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to say how happy I am that people have come back to participate in public comment. I'd like to thank everyone. I really appreciate the comments. I think it highlights problem areas, and we did get a couple compliments also. But I'm just grateful, and I thank you. That's it for the evening.
All right, thank you. Councilwoman Darby.
No comments for tonight.
Thank you. Councilwoman Oliver.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, I'd like to thank everybody, including yourself, for all the nice Halloween parties I went to, and I did win Best Dressed. I have to mention that at one of them. Secondly, I'm looking forward to going to the senior ball November the 14th, and I know some seniors who have expressed they already have their tickets, and everybody seemed excited. And that's all I have to say tonight. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilwoman Fields.
Yes, I was going to mention the senior Thanksgiving ball
Go
as
ahead.
well. No, but that's fine. Also, on November the 24th, West of the City Adult Center, they're having their luncheon from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., and I will be attending that. And also, we're having a 57th annual Wilmington J.C.'s Christmas parade, and I believe all of council will be participating, I'm hoping, in that parade as well. I usually end with a quote, and for Veterans Day on November the 11th, without heroes, we are all plain people and don't know how far we can go. Bernard Renault. Other than that, thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, everybody else, for attending the meeting tonight.
Thank you. Councilwoman McCoy.
I have nothing to say, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilman Field.
Nothing tonight, Mr. President. I just want to thank you for, again, running another good meeting.
Thank you. Councilwoman Cabrera.
Nothing this evening, Mr. President. May I be excused?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Councilwoman Dixon.
Can I give, I'm just going to give my time. I don't have any comments to Councilwoman Oliver. She missed the announcement.
Sure.
Thank you. I forgot to mention Storman's Turkey Drive. This is the 35th year, whatever. But I'm sorry to say that he won't be coming in the high risers due to a lot of people traveling, and a lot of them said that they're not going to let all the crowd come in the high risers. So they will be coming in there just to give out the gift cards, $30 gift cards this year to all the seniors and coming over West End Center. Thank you so much, Councilman Dixon. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Councilman Spadola.
Thank you, Council President. No, I just wanted to send my regrets in advance about missing the senior ball this year. I'll be in Texas. I'm sure it'll be a good time as always, but I look forward to it next year. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Walsh.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just one thing, because there seems to be a little confusion over this. The meeting that is going to be held concerning public safety, it is not a meeting for anyone to introduce new legislation or anything like that. It's really a listening tour that people have had, quite a few questions in the last year, and perhaps even before that, that they don't feel have been answered by the police department or their representatives. And this is just an open opportunity for you to have those questions answered. We've had a couple of submissions from people on subjects they would like to have heard. Anyone else who does, we're still expecting that or accepting them because we had to move the meeting to the end of November. So please, no question is too small, no question is too big. So please relay your questions to either myself or to Daniel, and we'll go from there. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Walsh, when is that meeting scheduled for?
I knew you were going to ask me that. I think it's the last Monday in November. What is that?
November 30th? Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Great meeting. Again, I want to thank the public for coming out and expressing your frustrations with the city and keeping us accountable. This is by far the best meeting that I've had the privilege of presiding over. So again, I just want to encourage the public to keep showing up, keep talking, and bring people with you. Believe it or not, a lot of council members feel your same frustrations. So the more that you're here, I think that the more we can get accomplished together. So please continue to come, and if you can't, please join us virtually and let us know what's on your mind. I just want to wish everyone a happy holiday, and I will accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 We singing that.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you.